So this guy was in contact with somebody before this plane took off. Did or maybe it didn't, I don't know, have something to do with what happened to the plane. The idea of him going aloft, and then while he's up there, many hours, 5-6 hours to do this, another group hands the Malaysian government a list of demands, including the release of Anwar Ibrahim, or the plane goes down. And it is postulated that the Malaysian government said, Captain Shaw, bring the plane back. There'll be no deals. No deals with terrorists, no deals with hijackers, and that was the end of the plane. Boom. So that's interesting. Now, what you've got is probably, you say technical, but it is really interesting. So let's go ahead and kind of walk through that.
Okay, well, first of all, with this, I'm very familiar with the Anwar case because I was in Southeast Asia during the start of the Asian financial crisis.
Yeah.
2000. Anwar was he was known as the IMF boy. That's what they call him. And
what they call him? Call him a what?
The IMF boy. Okay.
I see.
Along with one of the prime ministers of Thailand back then, who were particularly open homosexuals. Okay. And as a result, they got along very good with the international banking community.
Okay, right? So he was not, these were not trumped up charges. Okay.
No. I mean, everyone knew it at the time, that these guys were sort of in league together in opening up the Southeast Asian economy to the IMF, to the foreign banks, the foreign investors. And the core of this was sort of this international gay mafia. I'm not speaking against gays or anything like that. I'm just saying that's just the group that was in power then. It was more important that they were financial bankers and rich people.
Right.
And that obviously in Malaysia, the key person in that whole play of the foreign exchange rates, which suddenly the Asian currencies were devalued and there was capital flight, all the foreign investors pulled their money out, was of course George Soros, which then Prime Minister Mohammed Mahathir, criticized him that Soros is behind this, was trying to destabilize all Southeast Asia. You get a base there. And this hasn't really stopped. I was in Thailand when there was there were military officers aligned with the royal family. I knew one of the aristocratic families then who threatened to shoot Soros if he went to the Oriental Hotel, tried to come to Thailand. And Soros, he backed down. He didn't come because he realized these guys aren't kidding. They know what this game is about. They're in international circles. They know this was a deliberate attack on the economy. And this attack has been going on and on and on and on. And all of former Prime Minister Mahathir's NGO, he's a real peace activist. He's a real advocate of nonviolence.
Correct.
And it's very difficult because he lives in the Islamic world. He's Muslim, and he's arguing against violence by Muslims as well as by the Western world. So it's a tough position to be in peace. But, these groups are constantly under attack. I wrote a series of articles about how Google attacked his group. Google set up in Southeast Asia and has been running down all sorts of critics of Israel, just attacking the heck out of posting warning signs on computers, hacking computers. This one website called the Fifth Estate in Jakarta was taken down repeatedly, lost their domain name. Bob Finnegan, the former editor of Jakarta Post, has been fighting him very valiantly, with his back against the wall, against this, massive attack by Google, the Israelis over there, the various Israeli fronts operating out of Singapore, and out of, there are many other players in the financial community and all that. So against this background, you see that Malaysia is a country under siege. Well, it's Muslim-dominated, and you got to understand it's it is probably the major country outside of China and Japan with its own oil drilling, exploration, and production equipment technology. The Petronas towers that you see, the twin towers that are far more beautiful than the ones that were in New York, that's owned by Petronas, the national oil company, which is operating all across Southeast Asia, in Africa, in the Arab world. If you're a small country, predominantly Muslim, and you're doing your own policy, you're sort of like Venezuela, right? You're going to be under attack constantly. These people are going to attack you. The Israeli interests, along with, Exxon, Shell, BP, all of these big oil.
They are absolutely, they're grinding Venezuela into the dirt. Yeah. They're doing their damnedest because Venezuela has about 5 trillion barrels of recoverable oil. trillion.
Yeah. And Malaysia is the Venezuela of Southeast Asia. So you got to understand, these people have been trying to undermine it. They've been supporting protests, doing every dirty trick they can to wipe. In Thailand, it says Thailand joins it, is trying to build pipelines, trying to do cooperation. And there's an Asian market Southeast Asian market that will form, something like the EU, on January 1st. So they're going to form a common market, mainly for energy reasons. They need to share gas and then supply electricity to each other, because all these borders are not necessarily totally rational economically. So this is the reason they're going to do it. So they're under massive assault now, and this airliner was hijacked amid this point. And I say hijacked because today, even electronically hijack a plane. That was a great lesson of 9/11.
Yeah.
That technology was developed by Israeli companies.
Yep.
Israeli companies whose executives and programmers are all from the Israeli Defense Force. And they're the ones who also created the waterfall infrastructure security software, okay?
Yeah.
In other words, the Stuxnet virus was developed by these people against Siemens software, against a German software company. Who else would they attack except the Germans? And to basically what they call remote cockpit, where you can put it on your laptop. You can actually control it from a laptop computer. That was their goal, and they did it. And they boasted about it. Then they pulled all of their story. When I started writing about them, they pulled all of that off the internet. They got alarmed and pulled. So,
by the way,
they're trying to cover their tracks.
If I remember correctly, Rabbi Zakheim was the comptroller of the Pentagon just before 9/11, when that $2 or $3 trillion went missing, and Rabbi Zakheim left that job shortly after 9/11 and went to work, if I remember right, with the company that makes these override remote control systems for airliners. I think that's right.
They took the money and invested. There you go. Yeah, because they invented that technology earlier, but it wasn't entirely perfected.
That's correct.
Nor was it commercialized, okay, for the airliners. Now, to use it defensively, after the lesson on 9/11, United, Boeing and all the other, everyone in the aircraft industry wanted to be able to remotely control a plane in case something happened to the crew. So there was a fire or something inside the cabin or something, where there were a terrorist incident. They could take it over themselves, okay? So they had to perfect the technology and get out to market. So it's been out there, this technology, but they've been very secretive about it, and I hope these online sleuths begin to dig out the whole deep history of this thing so we can get to the mystery. There's a lot of mysteries of what happened to planes, and,
okay, we got a break, coming up. I was correct. Rabbi Zakheim went to work for, let me see if I can find it here. 2004. Okay. Yes, he did. He went to work for the company called SPC. That's the company that manufactures remote control software and operation systems for airliners. So Zakheim, presiding over the loss, gosh, I wonder where it went. How about the Bank of Tel Aviv? $2.3 trillion, greases his way out of the pentagram and goes to work for SPC, the company that makes the remote control systems that very likely flew the planes into the World Trade Center towers. We don't know what hit the pentagram, but it was not.
Well, 2 points just before we go on break. Follow the money, right? The money's important. And the second thing is passengers don't count. Civilian passengers, what human rights? If you don't consider them human, they don't have any rights. Okay, that's the 2 points we got to remember, and that applies to this Malaysia.
Okay, very good. Back in just a minute. Hang on. Okay, back with Yoichi Shimatsu. We're taking a look at MH370, Flight 370, and what he thinks may have happened there. It's a very interesting technological aspect of this story having to do with that freelance software company. Again, 20 programmers, senior programmers, very smart people, on board this plane. 12 Chinese, 8 Malaysians or others. Tell us more.
Okay, now Freescale is called is a software, and it's a chip producer, silicon chip producer, based in Austin, Texas, and its board members and executives.
See, now there's another weird. Excuse me, I got to jump in here.
Huh?
There's another weird tie into Austin, Texas, which seems to be the nexus of a lot of Intel stuff, a lot of Internet stuff, a lot of stuff in general. Austin, go ahead.
You got the University of Texas there, but you got to remember George W. Bush was governor of the state when all that stuff was developing. Okay?
Yeah.
So it makes total sense why that's all there, and they're all part of this sort of Bush-Cheney network. In fact, Freescale is most powerful board members formerly worked with the Carlyle Group. Okay. The Carlyle Group was very much associated with Pappy, with George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
All right? So this is like a real Made-in Texas operation, as well as its predecessor company, because it used to be the design division for Motorola, the big, which is based in Chicago and had big operations in Texas. And the other big company is Texas Instruments. Many of the board members were with Texas Instruments previously. So this is very at the heart of both not only computer development, software development, but also military industrial technology, military technology essentially. And Freescale is that kind of company. It produces a lot of your little microchips and controllers for cars. Cars use them in various parts. We don't have these old carburetors anymore. Everything's computer controlled, and more so. They make a lot of money there. But their main customer is still the Pentagon, especially the U.S. Air Force. They're very strong in selling all the stuff. In every missile, you got controllers and chips and all sorts. Every tank, every jet fighter, massive amount of intelligent hardware in there. Okay, so, however, manpower, as you know, in the States is very tough. It's very competitive, because the United States graduates a lot of people. A lot of them go on their own and all that. So you end up at every tech company, you see a lot of foreigners coming in, migrate from India, from Pakistan, from China, from Korea, but less so from Korea now because they're busy over there, Taiwan. And so Freescale has had to open up design centers, This is for chip design and for all the circuits and all that go with that, controllers and all that, in both Malaysia and in China. And you got to remember that this flight, this MH370, was flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, China, which were places that Freescale has as design centers. Now, of all of the recent technologies come out with, the most recent came out early last year, which is the world's smallest microcontroller, which is less than 2 millimeters on either side. So it's a tiny little thing. In fact, they call it a swallowable controller. A tiny little chip. Let's say if you're taking, you need a little surgery in your, let's say for an ulcer or something like that. Yeah. You can actually attach those surgical tools.
Easy.
Control. This strip will control that surgery. You can pre-program it because they could identify exactly what has to be done and figure out what, these are things that can do some thinking. They have logic functions in them. All right. So basically, it came out with this tiny little thing. It's called Kinesis. Kinesis, and the code number is KL02. KL stands for Kuala Lumpur in version 2. The second model of this thing. So in other words, Kinesis was basically developed in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. All right, and that's what this team of 20 was working on. Now the problem is, Malaysia was a super design center, but it's not like a great manufacturing or testing center because this company, Freescale, has something like 5 different offices, research centers in China in different cities, and a major production center in Tianjin, which is a port of Beijing, which presumably this team was heading to. Why were they heading to there? Well, you have to test this chip in various industrial applications that they can do in China, And this chip, obviously, very, very important to the U.S. military to maintain its strategic advantage over all the other world's other military powers. Now the whole trend in military development in chips and weapons that go smaller and smaller and smaller to miniaturized, okay? And you've heard of these drones, okay? They're the size of a dragonfly, right, for espionage purposes. You've heard of these, they were publicized a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can make them as small as a fly with this thing, okay?
That's right.
So you wouldn't even see this thing approaching. It would be spying on you, or it could deliver, let's say, some sort of toxic agent or a virus to you. Perfect for warfare.
Yep.
Yeah, they're very important.
And think where we're, Yoshi, your point is so well taken. Think where we'll be if we survive in another 4 or 5 years. These things will be inhalable.
Yeah, inhalable. Yeah. It'll go up your nose. Yeah. This thing, inhalable. You can swallow it. You won't be able to detect it anywhere.
You won't even know.
This is definitely the fly on the wall technology, in other words. You won't see it. You won't notice it. Yeah. Also for space technology, if you need to make a satellite killer, you can use this microchip to make something the size of less than a baseball to go after and puncture and destroy a satellite. If you want to make a small nuclear bomb and put them in orbit, hundreds of bombs in orbit, you can do that with this chip. And again, this chip, being a controller, it doesn't have to just obey orders. You can just put it into you can insert a program that just says, in these scenarios, this is the hierarchy of things you will do, okay? These are responses you will take. So therefore, after that, it's self-guided. It's on its own. You'll figure out what to do, how to adapt. If someone's trying to shoot it down, it'll get around that. It'll have programs in there to help it get it. So this is basically a very thinking man's machine up there that will, up there in space, on the ground, under your coffee table, all right? So therefore, the Pentagon does not want this to fall in the hands of the Chinese, the Malaysians, or anyone who's close to the Iranians. Now, the thing is, we look at the leadership structure of Freescale. Anyone can look at this online. It's older board members with the Carlyle Group, TI, Texas Instruments, which have an interest as rapidly as possible, okay? This is called dual-use technology. You can use it for civilian or for warfare to get this stuff out to the market so they can reward their investors, okay? Pappy Bush wants to get his money back as fast as he can. So therefore, he wants to sell this technology to anyone else. He doesn't care about the arms. In fact, the fiercer the arms race, the more groups like Carlyle will make money. So it's in their interest to get this out to the civilian economy, and the Chinese use it for military purposes. All the better. Then we'll make a smaller and better one. Okay, this is their thinking.
That's
now the
right.
problem with Freescale, however, is not owned by Pappy Bush. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, we have to take a break though. Okay. Hold on, and we'll come right back.
Okay, all right. Let me get into the ownership of who really owns it. Okay.
Sure. All right, this will be very interesting as always. All right, Yoshi, right on top of things as usual, and we'll be back. All right, let's get right back to our conversation with Yoshi about Flight 370, the computer aspect of it all, Freescale. Who are the owners of Freescale?
Okay, Freescale, while the management is with the Carlyle Group, which is and TI, Texas Instruments, people who are very strong into the George Bush circles of Texas, the actual